prosecution outlined how accounting practices of comedy productions did not.
What kind of likeness is that? If they were great artists, they'll be in a museum.
Evidence today may signal at least one.
I'm fucking fodder for cartoonists now.
And welcome back to the main feed of Gutter Boys. Gutter Boys is a small press comics podcast about the ins and the outs and the highs and the very deep lows of making comics. I am your host, Cam, with my co-host today, JB.
Sup?
What's up? What's up? Yeah, today we've got a long-awaited guest, like always, Ryan Cecil Smith from LA. You know him from his SF comics from Koyama, as well as self-published, the Style and Fashion zine. And you've probably watched a cartoon that he's done backgrounds on, but we get into all of that on this very, very, very plus-sized episode. It was so long that we debated even cutting it in half and putting some on the Patreon, but bless JB, he's edited it all for your listening pleasure on the main feed.
That's right. And because last week's episode was late, you'll probably be getting this one on time for once. We're going to get back on our normal schedule. This main feed will get to you technically on the week it's supposed to. I mean, it's a Saturday, but whatever.
Yeah, hey, it's all good.
And then, of course, next week, if you are on the Patreon, we're going to have Michael Kennedy back on for a bonus episode where we are going to talk about a variety of issues. We were originally going to do this as part of our Real Boys episode, but that ended up falling through, and we'll have somebody else on for that one. But instead, we're going to discuss I think he wanted to talk about just like general media, right?
Well, yeah. So we hit up Michael and we've been kind of dancing around doing Real Boys. And here's what Michael said regarding the episode. He's been in a reclusive cartoonist state and he wants to just hop on a call and just chat about shit, films, TV, comics, whatever. So if you like it when we kind of free ball it, if you will, tune into the Patreon with Ignat's nominee, Michael Kennedy. That'll be up in the next, I'd say by the time this comes out, it'll be out by middle of next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be out by Wednesday, the Wednesday after this comes out.
And so speaking of Ignat's, I figured we could cover that a little bit. We'll go a little more in depth with that when we have Michael on.
Yeah.
But for this, since the interview is as long as it is, we're going to briefly touch on some key nominations, mostly of which are for people that we know.
Yeah, you guessed it, our friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's speed run through these. We will talk more about this. We can't get into rigging the show, the Rignats, on a public feed. So if you want to hear about the Rignats, we're gonna get some collusion going with the nominee. But yeah, let's get into the 2025 Ignat's Award nominees taken straight from SPX's website. Also, real quick, did you see the price to get into SPX this year?
Oh, yeah.
It's absurd.
Drew covered it. Drew B. Hall, past guest friend of the show, he covered it quite well.
Yeah.
in one of his IG story rants.
It's absurd.
Which I appreciate.
Like, what, $21 for a 2-day pass or something like that?
I think it was 30.
Yeah, or like 21 for a day or something crazy. Yeah, fuck. Yeah, so price prohibitive. Like,
I think they're realizing that Cartoon Network Money Pit is gone now. So
Rebecca Sugar stopped answering the calls. All right, anyway, so let's, because we know the money from admission is going to making these bricks better that these people will take home. So, outstanding anthology, Baraba, a Brazilian comics anthology, edited by Rafael Grandpa and Janina de Luna. I wanted to bring this one up because of this. Listen, Grandpa, you have been so late on the last issue of your Batman story. Just get it fucking done. You're over here editing anthologies for Fantagraphics. Quit sitting around, fucking around. Just get it fucking done, man. It's been 2 years, 4 issues. I'm sure you've already gotten the
didn't
bag.
know he didn't finish it. That's crazy.
Dude, 3 issues have come out, and I was talking about that as like one of my favorite comics of like 2023. Like the last one is still just like, it just constantly gets pushed back. So I'm glad that you're blowing off the Eisners for a brick, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the more important nominee is Rust Belt Review Volume 6.
Yes, that is who you should vote for.
Yes. Edited by friend of the show, past guest, Sean Knickerbocker. This is an anthology that we have plugged quite a bit. I mean, he's one of our sponsors, so you probably have fast forwarded through our ad of that book. But now you can't ignore it anymore because it's up for nomination for Outstanding Anthology, and I got a gut feeling that it has a good chance of winning.
Yeah, I hope Sean wins. Looking at everything else, not that it looks bad, but you know, Sean deserves it, and all the contributors. Here's the thing: it does specify that Volume 6 is the one that was nominated, but I would like to think of this as like an achievement award if he does win. I don't think that this volume is exceptionally better than the others. I just think it's a great publication, and every issue just packs a punch. So check out any issue, but 6 was the one nominated. Let's see, more nepotism.
Well, for Outstanding Artist,
we don't know any
of these people, so we're going to skip that.
Anders Nilsson, I like you the most in the bunch, so I hope you win. Outstanding Collection. Here you go. Oh man, look, check this out. We've got 2 previous guests here. Michael Kennedy for Milk White Steed. We already said that was Book of the Year for us, so I think that we can
absolutely,
lean there. Max Huffman did get a nomination as well with Them Shaped Clouds. Max is a phenomenal cartoonist. I'd like to see
great cartoonist.
I'd like to see either of them win.
Yeah,
but
no, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I'm rooting for Michael.
yeah. I mean,
I
didn't read Them Shaped Clouds, so I can't even comment on it. I do see Kyler Roberts in the mix. Kyler is a person that I want to get on the show, and I really like their comics as well. But continuing,
and also Julia, how do you pronounce that?
Graffair, I think.
Graffair, yeah. She's from what, Iceland or some European country? I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's
I do
someone
like their
I've
work
seen
though.
Before.
Yeah, they had a book called Visions that was really good a few years ago, but I haven't kept up with them since. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good pretty stacked category there, to be honest. So.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, for sure. I think this year's lineup is pretty impressive. Moving on to Outstanding Comic, coming through for the wonderful city of Philadelphia. Past guest Connie Myers with Big Gamble Rainbow Highway. This is easily in my top 5 of the year.
Same.
And I'm not going to say I'm surprised that it showed up on here. I didn't know if it was getting a lot of eyeballs on it, but I'm glad it's getting recognition here on this list. And I think it's the underdog.
Yeah, I would say that while it's the underdog, I would not be surprised at all to see it win. You see Silver Sprocket in the mix with 2 titles and Anders Nilsson rounding it out. Also, if Connie does not win that, I'm hoping she wins Promising New Talent because she got the call. She got the shout out twice this year. But imagine if they won both awards and they can prop up 2 windows in their apartments with the bricks.
That'd be great.
So let's see here. Scrolling down, we've got Outstanding Graphic Novel. Do we know anybody here? Not really. So Tara Booth, I like you the best out of the mix. I hope you win.
And Outstanding Mini Comic, we have a rat race between Big Apple Matinee by A.T. Pratt, past guest.
Hell yeah.
And Jazz Heiss's Sarlatka. And I'm not going to say who I voted for on this one, but it was tough. I'm not going to lie.
I have to vote for Jazz. Sorry,
A.T.
Pratt. I have to. We're in the trenches with Butter. I have to give my vote to Jazz, but I would vote
She will
Jazz
kill you also if she found out you didn't.
Yeah, totally.
So,
yeah.
She has your address, so that's,
Yeah.
Outstanding Online Comic. I could not care less.
Yeah, you know what? How about you print it, okay? How about you print it?
For Outstanding Series, oh man, like Caroline needs another brick. We have Pee Pee Poo Poo up for Outstanding Series. I don't know if this one's as clear cut. This one's a tight race too.
Yeah, I don't really recognize any of these other books. I'm familiar with Anders Nilsson. Anders is fucking cleaning up on the nominations, which is crazy.
That one book got nominated like 4 different times.
Well, which is insane because Tongues has been coming out over like the last decade. I guess it's kind of just like getting collected. So everybody's like, okay, finally giving it its flowers.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, congrats to Anders. Pretty cool. But I hope Caroline wins.
And then for outstanding story, I think the only thing here that I've actually read is Boy Island.
Same, yeah. Leo Fox's comic. That's the only one I was familiar with.
Yeah, and I'm surprised we haven't had Leo on yet.
Yeah, I'm sure we can hit up Avi if he's not in jail and coordinate that.
One of those things. Okay, and then
Don't put that in.
Promising. Yeah, we're keeping it in. Fuck it. And then we're on promising new talent. Again, shouting out Connie Myers. Connie, please take the 2 W's home.
Mm-hmm.
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it for 2025's Ignatz Awards nominations that matter. Like I said,
no, they all matter, guys.
Yeah, sure. All right. Yeah. All lives matter. We will get into that a little more in depth with Michael.
And how I think it's crazy that Distillery has somehow broken into SPX, even though I think I know how that happened, and it might be from one of our close friends. So,
So yeah, if you want to hear that, go subscribe to the Patreon, gutterboys.top or patreon.com/gutterboys. $5 a month gets you access to our bonus episodes, which we release on our off weeks.
Yeah, a whole vault, 100 plus of them now.
Yeah. So go check them out. Anyway, was there anything else? I think that's it.
No, I delete this, but I don't know if you saw our emails. 2D Cloud must not listen to the show because they emailed asking if we can get some of their artists on. It's like, have you not heard any of the 9 episodes where we just
that's crazy
take pot shots at you? Like,
bro, that's
insane.
Crazy.
You can actually leave that in if you want. I don't care. I mean, they're obviously not listening, but I did think that was really funny.
Okay, I mean that's I'll talk to you more about it after. All right. Well. All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we return, we'll be joined with Ryan Cecil Smith, so stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
A young man kidnapped and forced to become a Sicario. A disposable soldier in the wars of organized crime. A young woman kidnapped and trafficked. Her life reduced to a commodity in a brutal underworld. When their paths cross, they see a way out. Will they have a shot at survival? This is How to Disappear in Mexico, a mostly black and white 44-page comic book by cartoonist E. Esparza. A comic inspired by what may lie behind some missing persons cases in Mexico. The comic book is finished and getting released through Kickstarter, which launches May 14th. The digital version is just $2. What a bargain, right? The print version is $31 including shipping, and again, the Kickstarter launches May 14th. The pre-launch page is up now. Just look up How to Disappear in Mexico on Kickstarter.com.
Are you ready for a wild ride? Get ready to meet the Santos sisters. 2 ordinary girls with an extraordinary secret. One day, while combing the beach in their hometown of Las Brisas, the Santos sisters discovered a pair of beautiful medallions. What happens next changes their lives forever. The medallions are imbued with the powers of a goddess, Madame Sosostris, and can transform them at will into flying, gun-wielding, mask-wearing murder heroes with hearts, if not gold, then at least candy. That's right, it's a mix of Archie Comics meets Love and Rockets with a healthy dose of kick-ass action. Join Ambar and Alana as they fight crime, date dumb guys, and, well, try to stay sane in a world of assassins, zombies, crazy ex-girlfriends, and more. The Santos Sisters Volume 1 hardcover from Fantagraphics is coming to a comic shop or bookstore near you on March 11th of 2025. Don't miss out on this Technicolor tapestry of irreverent comic book fun. Santos Sisters, because life's a beach until it's not.
Indie Northern Kentucky, or Inc., is the Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati area's only zine, alternative comic, and small press bookstore, featuring over 400 different zines, alternative comics, and small press titles. a creative space with supplies to ideate and create your own zines and comics, and an event space for your zines, comics, or book release or reading. For more information about how to sell your zines and comics at Ink, stop by indieNKY.com. That's INDIESKY.com. Visit our new home in Dayton, Kentucky, and read what the cool kids are reading.
Underground Kingdom Comics Presents Romance is the third issue of a new anthology showcasing the UK's most exciting small press cartoonists. This 28-page A5 comic features cover art by Vincent Bell Robertson and comics by Lily Blakely, Adam Falp, and Anna Redmond, plus pinups from Kai Reynolds and Matt Greaves. Daredevils and Warriors wrote, "If you want to leave your comfort zone and are looking for thoughtful and original comics that have an edge without being edgy, then you should check out these UKC books." You can buy Underground Kingdom Comics Presents Romance now, along with the previous two issues, Horror and Crime, and Original Art, by backing our Kickstarter, which is live until Friday, March 15th. Don't be a cunt, buy a comic, innit? Hell yeah. Meow. Meow. Sid the Cat magazine is out now. If you've ever been to an amazing rock and roll show and thought, I wish I could experience this moment again, but in comic form, then Sid the Cat magazine is for you. Fiercely independent show promoters Sid the Cat have joined forces with comics journalist Andrew Greenstone to bring you an ongoing publication that documents the SoCal indie rock scene. This stunning 52-page full-color magazine features comics, articles, photos, and illustrations from a rotating cast of local illustrators and writers. It's a celebration of Sid's artists and venues and supports those keeping the bleeding edge of the indie music scene alive. Our first issue covers musical artists Big Thief, Illuminati Hotties, Mike Kroll, Fucked Up, Finn Lilly, Katie Kirby, Kate LeBon, Cursive, Christian Lee Hudson, No Win, and so many more. If you are a fan of comics, indie music, zines, rock reports, or community by the way of culture, order a copy now at sidthecat.com/sid-zine. Again, that's sidthecat.com/sid-zine.
Athenium Comic Art is an original art website for some of the best cartoonists in the business. They currently represent Remy Boydell, Marie Capelle-France, Nicole Gu, Jonathan Hill, Emma Hunsinger, Casey Nowak, Micah Song, and Tilly Walden. Athenium Comic Art gives fans the opportunity to own an original piece of art from their favorite comics and support the artists that they love. In their short time in business, they've already shipped many iconic pages out to hardcore fans across the globe. Don't miss out on your chance to own a one-of-a-kind piece of history. Check out their website, atheniumcomicart.com, and type in Gutter Gang at checkout to receive free shipping on your first order. Again, the website is atheniumcomicart.com, and the code is Gutter Gang.
Morning, Gary. Morning, Marianne. Need a menu? Nah, I'll just have the usual. You sure do love your eggs and coffee, Gary. Best way to start your morning, Marianne. Well, that and an issue of Town and County. What's that? Town and County is a new comic series written and drawn by cartoonist Alex Knoll. He's that guy that wrote them books about teaching and that Mr. Rogers feller. Oh, he was such a nice man. The first issue is 36 pages of black and white comic stories with beautiful color covers and features 6 stories about folks in our little township here in Illinois, like Susie Barber, the house cleaner that uncovers her client's dirty laundry, if you know what I mean, and Stanley Pepper, that big feller that just lost his job and took to drinking every night at Bugs's Tavern. Well, ain't that something? Town and County is published by Ivy Terrace Press, headquartered in Chicago. Chicago? Who would want to live there? So dirty. Each issue comes with a copy of the Hometown Hero, our little town's newsletter, and it's only $8. $8? Where can I get it, Gary? You can order a copy of Town and County on the internet at StoreEnvy/Alex Knoll Comics. Oh, there's your breakfast, Gary. Thanks, Marianne. Nothing like a cup of coffee and a good comic book.
Rust Belt Review is a quarterly comics lit magazine featuring serialized and short-form comics from some of the most exciting cartoonists in the small press scene today. Volume 1 features work from Gutter alums M.S. Harkness, Audra Stang, and Caleb Orecchio, along with work by Andrew Greenstone, Sean Knickerbocker, and Juan Jose Fernandez. You can order your copy of Rust Belt Review today by going to rustbeltreview.org. Enter in promo code GUTTER to receive $2 off your order. Again, that website is rustbeltreview.org, promo code GUTTER.
The Last Aviatrix is a post-nuclear adventure comic by independent, Los Angeles-based cartoonist Buster Cagle. The story follows Summer, our last aviatrix, who pilots the sole-surviving airplane, a nuclear-powered B-29, as she travels the ruined world finding ways to survive and help humanity while dealing with the imminent threat of the Atomborn, a rare breed of atomic wizards that want to see her out of the sky. Her mission becomes complicated when she accidentally picks up Henry, an Atomborn child who wields incredible power, and Clementine, a berserker on a quest for vengeance. Can our aviatrix survive this ruined and irradiated wasteland? Every issue can be read for free on bustercagle.com/comics. Paper copies can be ordered as well, but you can still read it for free. If you like wizards or warplanes, go check it out.
Now, back to our program.
Alrighty, and welcome back from the break. Today, we are joined by one of my personal favorite cartoonists working in the game right now. You know him from the style and fashion zines, as well as the SF series that's been self-published and also, if I'm not mistaken, put out by publishers over the years as well. Anyway, we got Los Angeles-based cartoonist as well as animator Ryan Cecil Smith. What's going on, Ryan?
Hi. Yes, I'm doing well. Yes, that's right. I was published. Koyama Press published one of my books. That was very good.
That's right.
But the rest is self-published.
So let's go ahead and just get right into it. You are both a cartoonist and an animator, and you've been at it for years. And I know right now you are currently doing a pre-order for the new book,
yes,
a collection. Is that right?
That's right. Well, let me make a correction. Not a correction. I wouldn't call myself an animator because I don't really animate, but I work in animation.
Okay.
A minor point. But I design backgrounds. I'm a designer in animation. Sometimes around animators, I probably maybe with this audience, I don't need to rush to say that, but sometimes around animators, I don't want to claim it because I don't actually do 100 drawings a second. I'm acting like an ignoramus. I know how many drawings a second there are.
So is that a big sticking point? Like, is there beef in the animation community? Like, is it like stolen valor?
I think there is a touch of stolen valor in and around the community. Yes. Just so to be polite, I would usually not say I'm an animator because I never know who's going to say, "Oh, you are? Oh, you're an animator?" And then I'd be like, "Oh, well, no, I'm just a background designer." I don't.
Okay. Well, you have worked on some cool projects for, Cartoon Network and Netflix and so forth. So that's like the main day job, right? Besides comics?
Yes, that is the main day job.
Okay. Hell yeah. So
it's a great day job. I love doing it. It's good. It's good when I can get the work.
We'll get back into the pre-order thing here in a second. So, because we're going to go ahead and just talk about, I just want to ask a question about this. Do you feel like, when it comes to comics and animation, you can kind of put them in the same category in the sense of it's all drawing. And I know you said you're not an animator, but, illustrating a background, obviously you're, setting the tone for these shows. So do you feel like it's kind of the same process that you go through with working in animation versus comics?
I would say it's really different.
Okay.
And it's really different. I mean, I think no matter what you do, animation is pretty much always really collaborative. So, I mean, I pretty much do everything for my self-published work, right? I write, I draw, I create, I come up with the concept. I think about how I want to market it and talk about it. And, as an artist, I I have my style that I do it in and I make those decisions. But in animation, it's spread out across everything. So I think that I am lucky that I think because of my interests, I mostly haven't worked as like a just like I don't like, how can I say, I feel like I get to work on shows and with people where I get to have creative input. For a lot of people, you don't really get a lot of creative input on every single show. Sometimes you're, especially for a designer, sometimes it's just like draw in the style of Family Guy, draw a house, and that's really boring. And but that's still cool. You still get a little personality, but I think that I put my personality into stuff. I get to like make requests and decisions, but it's really different because in comics, like you're coming up with a story and how you present that story and like what that means to you. And there's so much less of that personal creativity in an animation job, and almost any animation job.
So when you get to actually work on your comics, considering that, when you are working an animation gig, is it a welcome escape considering you're not really in a box at that point?
Yeah, so much. 100%. It is very much that.
Hell yeah. So what's it look like for you as far as like, you've got a lot going on as far as, work and, being a parent. So where do you find time for your comics? And how has that practice changed for you with the way your life's going right now?
Well, it's funny you asked that because I was just thinking about it today. To be honest, I feel like I shouldn't work on comics. Like I work on comics because I was thinking today, like I love doing it and I'm compelled to do it. I really like thinking about stuff to work on, but like, comics like pays the least of anything and it takes the longest time of anything in terms of, work per dollar brought in by the activity. So how I do it is like, it's sort of irrational, to be honest. Like I was thinking today, like I should really just be like focused on like some freelance illustration or finding my next animation job, like looking around for that. But I just love working on comics. So like the way it works is like when I should maybe be doing something else, I'm like drawing a comic and then I'm coming up with like concepts for what that'll be and then writing it and then getting to where I know I can start drawing it and doing all that. So it does kind of like, I love doing it and I love making comics and I still try to make it. I still am able to do it kind of, but like the last like comic that I wrote and drew, I was able to do it like pretty quick. I did like a comic that I put part of it on Instagram about like parenting, and I like inked and drew like a page over the course of like a day. And I love doing that. It feels really good, but maybe I should have been doing something else. I should have been working on this freelance gig that I have right now.
I think JB and I are both going to echo that sentiment that comics like aren't worth it at all financially. Now,
Right.
One question that I want to ask you is, and I hope this isn't getting too personal, but you have a life pre-fatherhood and post-fatherhood now.
Yes.
So were comics like, something that you were more likely to entertain, before you became a father, or were you kind of already feeling this way?
Well, now that I have been a father for about a year or so, there is just so much less time.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like night and day, but it's the same. Even before that, it's still, it's hard to say before one becomes a parent, you don't realize like how much time you have. That's like a whole discussion.
Right.
No, I mean, it's still, I would still say like comics like don't really make a lot of sense for the time. I mean, I think comics are like at best they're a rewarding hobby. It's awesome to have a rewarding hobby, but I'm sorry, just in terms of like, I don't know why maybe I'm answering this wrong, but in framing it, like if someone loves to ski, God bless them, they can ski as much as they can get time to do it. That's kind of like what comics are. You know what I mean? Like, except that's not true because comics that generate work for me, by the way, I do think of them as more than a hobby, but just like how they fit into your life, like it's a luxury, it's an indulgence kind of. But for me, like I know I do use them professionally. I am trying to like generate other work with them. I am passionate. I love doing comics, and I wish it was my like full-time vocation to do comics. I think I would if I could.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I'm just saying like it's really hard to fit, and sometimes it's really hard to justify spending time on it when I should be like sending some sketches. I should be like making sketches for a client that are due a week from now. I should be doing that today. I shouldn't be like sitting and drawing a comic. This is like insane framing, but I feel like everything I'm saying is like, why do I do comics? I love doing them and they have benefits and outside of just doing them, but it is hard to justify doing them, especially being a dad. I have less time.
Yeah, no, I think that's the sentiment that, like I was saying, that JB and I kind of have now.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do comics.
Yeah, it's Yeah, I remember when I was like a teenager, or maybe in college, like I saw something that like Daniel Klaus said or something, and it was like, or maybe it was from maybe it was echoing a joke from Ghost World, where it was like, don't do comics. Like you must not do comics. Like comics are really, I think it was in Ghost World, or not in Ghost World, Art School Confidential. It was like only the people who, after being told many times not to do comics, have a chance of. No, I would say you don't have a chance of making it in comics. There is no making it in comics. Comics isn't a thing that makes you, but you should be told many times not to do it. You should only do it in that context.
Yeah. So one thing, I mean, I'm not surprised by that answer because, I understand like the industry, especially in our end, independent self-publishing. But one thing that I feel like you're notorious for is you give such love to the printed final object of everything you've put out comics wise. I've never seen you explore that in any other of your work just because I guess it's for clients.
Yeah.
But I guess it's kind of like a big loaded question, but I mean, for the listeners that aren't familiar with Ryan's work, Ryan has been risograph printing, well-versed, and, you have like color guides and so forth, like as resources trying to help people understand how to print with these things. And you've pretty much like dissected the printing process behind it. And I feel like it's a labor of love for you. And you're able to kind of get that out into the world via the physical objects you put out as your comics. Sometimes you have those looping comics, that you could read from any page. You're always experimenting with like the form and everything. So I guess
done a bit of that.
Yeah, I do want to talk to you about that, like where your approach comes in when you conceptualize these things. But if you don't do comics, where are you going to be able to scratch that itch? Because one thing that I've noticed about your work over the last decade is everything is so meticulous and well printed and so nice. Thanks.
Well, is it okay? Well, is it okay if I get artsy fartsy? I'm gonna get artsy fartsy here.
Yeah, I'm cool with it. Yeah.
I mean, I went to art school and I studied printmaking, and I probably like my mindset going into projects and books is like, if I'm gonna make a physical thing, then I mean, I care about how it looks, and I like compare them to like other things that I've seen, and like I want it to look like that. And for me, like I'm just so I'm sort of bummed out by the idea of like making something and then it gets printed and it looks bad. Although sometimes it's not just about being bad. It's like it feels like a betrayal, kind of like when you're gonna make something and then for whatever reason, I don't know, you just like. You put all this effort into like drawing something and making this idea, but then like the last like 10 yards, well, it's not the last 10 yards, but like the last 10 yards of like making it, you like don't think about craft and you don't think about how things look or whatever. I don't know. That's kind of the mindset I go into it. So like, but also I really limit myself, I feel, because the reason maybe why I go hard on risograph is what I like about risograph is that I kind of know how it works, and I know like what I'm going to get. Sort of risograph, you don't know what you're going to get. That's actually part of it, but like I kind of know what I'm getting into, and I kind of like make work like knowing that. Like I feel like my stories have kind of a retro feel, and retro risograph kind of serves that kind of retro feel of the stories. So I just I like making, if I'm gonna make like print a book or make a story, like I like thinking about it physically. Maybe I wish I had the guts, or maybe I don't know what I'm saying. Like if I lived in like 1993 and my choices were like make a zine or get it offset print, and maybe I would shoot for doing offset printing. But like right now for me, like, the choice of printing a zine, even me calling it a zine, I'm not even calling it a comic. Like maybe normal people wouldn't think of it as a zine, and they would of course like just use whoever prints comics. But like, I just don't know enough about it. Like I don't even know how people print their comics. Like I know that like people get like Amazon print on demand, which I think looks horrible.
Oh yeah. Awful.
I think, yeah. And I think something cool about printing is like, there's something like romantic, or like you take your audience somewhere interesting by making it in a cool way. And I just don't like the feeling of like, this is so pedestrian. This is like, so it's just like, I like with risograph that like by the way, risograph is like really, really cheap. It's not that complicated actually, but it feels different to the viewer, to the person looking at it. Like everyone has seen a million every adult in North America has seen like 100,000 Xerox pieces of paper. But like risograph has like a certain physical effect, like a matte effect, just like feels different. Like, what is this? And that little sense of like alienation and like that little distance and alien and like wonder, like, what is that? Is like a cool way to like prompt your audience going into something. And I love doing that. And so I'm reluctant to like have people approach my work. And the feeling is like, oh, it's like those Amazon print on demand books. But
Well, if that's on one end of the spectrum, you're on the complete 180 opposite end. So yeah, I think you've accomplished that there. Yeah. So, I mean, is this something that like, I mean, obviously there's a mission statement in what you just said, but I feel like you go so above and beyond. Is this just like, because I feel like also a lot of it's like hand assembled, and am I mistaken there?
Yeah, they're all hand assembled. Well, until the new thing that I've done is I let the print shop assemble the zines for me. So that's the new thing that I've done. Is like long ago, we used like when I was with friends in college, we would like. Oh, so let me just say, like, I have a print shop in Japan where I used to live that were in my town that I think are a really, really great print shop called Retro Jam. And I still use them. Actually, when I first started using them, I was kind of confused why they wouldn't let me print there. They basically, their rule is like, no, we print it for you. Like, you weren't allowed to use the machines, which was novel to me at the time.
Is it set up kind of like a Kinko's, like where it looks self-service or something like that?
No. In the very beginning, they did not give a visual indication that it was like a Kinko's at all. Actually, in the very beginning, it was like when they just started, they were like the front of a car rental place, where like you just like walk in, there's like a window and some examples of work. They didn't even have a very big space. Now they have a big space inside for like other crafts in the store, but like, no, you actually can't even see the risographs from where you are. I just wasn't used to that. And so basically, like, I pay them, they do all the printing. And what I used to do is pay them to do all the printing, and then I would assemble everything by hand, you know what I mean? Collate it and do all that. But they have some like special binding options that are, it's just nice to take advantage of it. And again, back to like being a dad, especially now that I'm a dad and now that I have a kid in the house, like there's no way I could do zine assembly in my home. It would be insane. So I love that I let them do that.
So look, let's just say you're not working in comics. Do you think that you'll still find like an itch to design things in this way? Like maybe
no, I
as
don't
a
think
designer
so.
or anything?
I don't think
Okay.
so. But also, I don't think I'm going to stop working in comics. I don't see that happening. I just
Okay.
my pace is slow. Like I don't publish as many books as maybe like 23-year-old me thought was imperative to publish or to make. But like I don't see myself stopping doing it. I mean, that's part of what's actually nice. One nice way to look at comics. I mean, I'm sorry if and I think you guys and your audience are familiar with this kind of idea. I just say it in a bright way. The nice thing about it having it doesn't pay at all is that like you don't do it. You're never going to get squeezed out of doing it because you never made any money in the first place. You do it because you like
Right.
doing it. And it's not like, well, no, I mean, to a degree it is disappointing that it doesn't make money. And again, not that it's always about that. It's just like the reality of how you're spending your time and,
Right.
how
It'd be
you gotta
nice to
live
be able to
your
make a
life.
living as an artist, in different avenues as opposed to just such a select few that you can go down,
Yeah, but anyway, like, no, I'm not going to. I don't really see myself stop. I can't imagine. To be real, let me think about it. I don't. I mean, if I got really, really if I got really, really busy, I mean, I would publish even less. God, that would be really rough. I'm really grateful that I am able to like draw on my sketchbook and come up with comic ideas and draw them, albeit slowly. I would have to be really squeezed to not be able to do it. It's possible, but I mean, like, I like doing it. I always want to be doing it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think, we have like the long running bit that, everybody's kind of like a lifer, and you can just come back to it. You can leave and can come back to it. There's so many big cartoonists that have done that. I mean, some of the biggest cartoonists, as far as like commanding the most from a publisher, publish books every 10, 15 years at this point. So I really don't think there is a rush to make them. And I think there is a huge conversation to be had about like sustainability when it comes to being able to support yourself off of these things, because they're so physically and time demanding.
Yeah.
It is kind of hard to stick with it, when you have other things going on and everything else going on in the world and just trying to live.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so I'm totally with you there.
Has your process changed in terms of how you think about and go about making comics since you started?
I think that I've kind of bizarrely, I've actually had like a really consistent process for like more than 10 years. Like I have the tools I like to use. Well, okay, here's what's really changed is that I do a lot more in my sketchbook than I used to. Like almost all of my like fashion and comics, my clothing comics, I do in a sketchbook. And I sort of try, or I kind of make moves towards doing like my like fiction comics in a sketchbook, but I haven't really done that. I mostly like have the tools that I really like. I love that I have them. I like buy, I occasionally buy them in bulk from Japan. I work with like certain pencils and pen and ink. I love doing that. I have like a consistent size that I draw at. And maybe what else has changed is like every time I do a story, it's always hard to like plot out the story. Do I do it all in advance or do I do it as I go along? I try to do it in advance, not as I go along. But like the questions are like how I write, how I thumbnail, and like how I put all those notes together into a big story. Like probably I put too much effort into all that stuff and that slows me down. Like I probably would work faster if I just went at it. But mostly like I'm drawing the same way, and it's how I like write and thumbnail that's changed a lot. Like like this one I'm doing now, like I mean, it's part of the problem also is like, or a problem I have is that I'm always writing like 3 or 4 stories at a time. I'm really bad at just doing one thing. I've gotten better at it recently. That's where this new zine that I'm making like came from. Is I told myself I will just work on this zine and get it done, and I did. That was great. But a lot of times I'm like working on multiple things. I'm like drawing in sketchbooks, and I'm coming up with like stories on like thumbnail paper or like post-it notes, and I'm doing all that stuff, and but then I'll get like 5 or 6 or 8 pages into a story, and if it doesn't like coalesce into a story that's like worth publishing like on its own, either as a book or as a chapter or something, if it doesn't coalesce into that, then it's sort of like just starts like kind of hanging around for way too long and then never gets done, and that's kind of a bummer. What about you, JB? Has your process changed?
Yeah, I mean, they're like small variables that have changed over the last like 10 years for sure.
I'd say that's like me, like small variables only, I feel.
Yeah.
Do you all both feel like it's changes that have been made for the better to streamline or be more efficient in the process?
I mean, that's the idea, but it's never always that clear cut.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I always like wish that I could start doing something a little bit differently, and then I'll try it, and then just as often I'll end up pulling back. Like I started trying to work like in pencil more, but it, if it again, like if I can figure out a way to make a process work for a whole book's worth, then it's like a success. And if not, then it's sort of it's a bit of a stumbling block or like an anchor on me.
Now, you did mention something interesting there. You said like for a project. So do you try to tweak your process for each project?
I mean, I sort of like imagine I wish I didn't, but I'm always thinking like, like I'm kind of dissatisfied how something or other went. And so, I mean, I want my books to like kind of feel cohesive. So I probably like worship the system a little bit too much over working in the moment and just making things and responding live. I probably try to set up a system, where like, oh, all my pages are going to be, with these ratios, and I'm going to ink it this way for a whole story. So yeah, I will like approach a project thinking like, okay, I'm going to do it this way this time. I'm actually going to use a brush for a bunch of the lines, and I'm going to rule out this or that, like using a ruler. It's those like little things, and if they work out great, that's awesome. But I still feel like fundamentally, like I'm doing the same basic thing, which is like write it, thumbnail it, pencil it, ink it. It's
right.
Pretty consistent.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like the same steps are taken. It's just what you do along the way. So one thing that I do think it actually ties into your new collection is because this new collection has reprinted work from books that were printed at all kinds of different sizes. Yes. Now, I feel like you kind of foresaw this, or maybe it was a happy accident. You can kind of clear that up. Oh, you foresaw it. Okay.
I did.
Interesting.
Yeah, they were 100%. So like, it's me like hedging my bets. So they were all drawn at the same. So the comics are all drawn at the same size. I have like a standard format that I use for. I'm trying to tweak it right now for my next book. The next thing I do, I think I'm going to finally stop trying to do it at this size. But like, I have the size that I really like. It's roughly in Japanese, it's like B5 size, which is halfway between A4 and A5 for their weird measurements. They're weird metric international systems, which I love.
America or get the fuck out, okay?
Yeah, and I actually love their systems. I love A4, B5. I love all that stuff. I love B4 and B5. But so yeah, I like, and by the way, the reason I use that system is because, boy, this is like nerdy, but I love working at like B5 size because B5 is half of B4, and B4 is between A3 and A4, which means it's between 8.5 by 11 and 11 by 17. So basically, you can work full bleed at 11 by 17. That's the point. It's like you work on 11 by 17 paper, or you print on 11 by 17 paper, and you get full bleed. So that's why I work at like B5. And I have these it's basically a 2x4 comic grid. And what I did with the stories that were printed as mini comics, and there were two of them called Working in the Future and Songs of the Field, is I drew them on this like full page 2x4 comics grid. But I knew as I was working that I could print them as quarter sized mini comics. So with a, just a 1x2, one panel on top of each other. So when you open the book, it's each spread has 4 panels. That's like the mini comic size. But I knew that it could also be published as like full pages. And so like the rules that gave me in storytelling are like, for example, I could do a full width panel. But if I did a full width panel, that would have to like cross the fold on the book spread. So I would have to, I think I made them a little bit longer, or I would know that I could edit them to be a little bit longer to account for the gutter. And also, if I do a full page spread, I can't have a character in the center of the panel, if you know what I'm saying, because his head is going to get chopped off or chopped right in the middle between the pages, if that makes sense. Other rules are, well, yeah, I'm generally like, I could do, I could, in the 2x4 grid, I could take like the top left corner and I could split that into a 1 panel by 3 panel thing. So I could have like, instead of 2 panels tall, I could do 3 panels tall, but I can't do that for the wide version. I can't split them into like a 3. I couldn't do a 3x4 grid. I have to do a 2x4 grid. This is like, sounds very mathy. But the point is like, I have all these like rules for the storytelling, which I like inventing these rules for the storytelling that kind of like compress everything, make it so that I can't like, stretch my arms out in every single direction. I give myself these rules where I have to do this. The point is that I had fun making a zine that would work as a full page eventually in the future. And the future is now. I am now printing the book. But at the time it was like, it could do that, or, and I could make it as a mini comic too. And I think another consideration at the time when I did that is, even though it doesn't really make sense, but like the story Songs of the Field was, I think it's like 12 pages long. And I felt at the time like, man, a 12-page comic, like who wants to buy a 12-page comic? But if I think it came out to, whatever it was, it came out to like 72 pages if I did them quarter size. So I was like, oh, no, that's beefy, man. I could really sell a 72-page mini comic. Man, that people are going to love that. But like, what's 72 divided by 4? 18? I think
18? 18? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like an 18-page comic, not very impressive, but a 72-page mini comic, dude, people will love that.
A lot of bang for your buck there, yeah.
Kind of short-sighted thinking and doesn't really make sense, but that did influence me doing them as mini comics.
So question, now that you're able to compile this, and you have compiled in the past in different formats, you might be too close to it to notice this, but do you feel like the stories read differently based on how you chop them up and present them in the format?
Yeah, I'm sure they do, but part of my and part of my philosophy in doing it is like not to worry about that too much and just to let that be part of the ride for the audience. Like, so yeah, especially I think especially my comic Working in the Future, I had to chop a bunch of things. Oh, a big thing with this like process where I can do it both ways is it makes it hard to do full bleed. And I had a bunch of full bleed pages in that book. So the full bleed pages, like the translation does not work well. I have to do a lot of chopping and editing. So I just sort of was like, well, then they're not going to be full bleed. I'm just going to chop off that whole bleed, for example. So like in the mini comic form, it was like kind of a cool, like full bleed splash page. But in the, when I put it into a real page, it's much smaller. It doesn't read as like striking. But I think that's okay. That's cool. Like the main thing is like the story makes sense and the story works. So it definitely feels different to the reader, I think. But I don't worry about that too much.
Hell yeah. You got any other process questions, JB?
Does any of your final stages when you're wrapping a project or working on a project, does that all remain digital, or are there elements that are still done analog?
Oh, JB, I am not digital. I do not work digitally.
Oh, you're not?
I do edits digitally, but this new book I just made, like I think, I do as much analog as I can. In fact, working. Oh, that's another reason why the working in the future story was annoying to edit, is because I did screen tone by hand. So it's like hand screen tone on the book, like cutting out with the razor and those plastic sheets, and that makes digital editing a lot harder. The latest story is it's all analog. The cover of this book had the most digital editing on it because I was dog tired. And I just could kind of fuss around on it a little bit digitally rather than like try to redo it. But yeah, I love working. I work in animation. I work digitally, and that's because like in animation, like collaboration is such a big part of it. There's just like no time to do that. You know, I can indulge my weird analog goofs. You know, like when the ink blobs out in a certain way or the text doesn't always read perfectly the same. Like for me, that's charming and part of the fun. I love that in comics. But you know, for animation, no. Animation is all digital, almost all digital, 99% digital. But for my comics, like I'm reluctant to say. I can't say that it's 100% analog. Like every page, I think my table of. But I try to do everything analog. I was just thinking like maybe the table of contents had a bunch of digital marks, but for the most part, like I don't like lettering digitally, but I can. Even when I letter digitally, I prefer, this is insane, but I will draw an alphabet a couple times on paper, and I will like copy and paste those letters as much as I can over inking, like lettering. I don't like lettering digitally.
Well, you know, that's what the letterers at the big two do now, so you're all good there. That's if they work and don't just download a font.
I mean, I heard you guys in the other episode, in the most recent Patreon exclusive, making fun of the letterers who were mad that they weren't included in the Fantastic Four or whatever credits.
They want credits now.
And respectfully, I don't know. I respectfully, I am unaware of admirable lettering in any big two comics. Respectfully, I am unaware of any good I shouldn't say good lettering, any interesting lettering, any admirable lettering at all. You're telling me people actually do that? Who does that? Can you name a letterer?
I can name them, but I'm not going to name them on air. We've grown, so
it would be a compliment, Cam. It would be a compliment if they ink and then move the letters around. That's better than just downloading a font.
Sorry, I thought you meant the other the inverse of that. If I knew somebody who was just downloading fonts, yes.
No, it's better for everyone if we don't know the names of these people who are mad about the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. No, I think I actually do know plenty of cartoonists that will, you know, make a font off of their own lettering. You know, I know some of the, like, you know, Dan McDade's done it before for a book. It's just, you know, it saves time and energy, you know, especially if you can get it to look realistic.
No, and me doing it this way is insane. And I would be open to making a font of my lettering. That I would be open to doing. There's one of the John Martz, I've heard, is the cartoonist to ask about this. So this is me plugging John Martz, the Canadian cartoonist. He is a go-to guy for turning a cartoonist's lettering into a font. And I hope for his own sake that he has a high rate for publishers who are willing to shell out for that. And I hope for the little guys that he has a little guy rate as well. But I think it would be so cool to do that. But also I know that if I did that, I would be so annoying. Like I would want all the ligatures. You know, I would want a special, you know, I would want like 4 different forms of E, and I would want like a special double T and, you know, an FI. Like I would want all those special characters included in there. I would want alt characters for everything. But I think that could be cool. But the point is, like, I can't just like letter. And by the way, excuse me, when I said letter digitally, I mean like I'm using a tablet like a pen on the tablet. I absolutely would never type this shit in.
Now, do you color digitally? I feel like that's done digitally, right?
Yeah, I mostly color digitally. Yeah, I love coloring digitally, but I do it in my own weird way because I also, so for if I'm doing something that I know is going to be digital, okay, like my fashion, my clothing comics, those I have like a special palette that I'm sure, every cartoonist does this. Like I have my cartoonist palette. So my cartoonist palette is like based on Karl Barks. And the guy who did the coloring for the Karl Barks reprints is a cartoonist we all love. You know his name?
Oh, is it Rich Tommaso?
Yeah, Rich Tommaso.
Okay,
yeah,
I know he does a lot of coloring work, so yeah, okay, makes sense.
So praise Rich Tommaso. I copied his color scheme. I mean, I'm also in praise of Karl Barks and whoever colors his comics. But I started with that, and I added colors slowly. So I have maybe a 50 swatch palette that I use for a lot of coloring for digital stuff. But if I know it's going to be in print, I really don't know if you guys want to handle me going into that nerd, which I love topic. But when I do digital coloring for risograph printing, it's like a whole thing. I mean, honestly, guys, I could go into it.
I did want to talk about that. That was actually on my notes here because when I met you a few years ago I guess it's been almost 10 years at this point at LA Zine Fest, you had just printed out those Riso Science. What was the exact title of that? Like the
Riso Color Sciences multi-pack.
Yes, that. And if you're not aware of what this is for the listeners out there, it is literally just like Pantone swatches and like a guide on. Actually, you can explain it better than I can. So go ahead and take us into that. And, but my question with that is you're deciding to pass this knowledge on.
Yeah.
So there is like a philanthropy, I guess, to that. So like a lot of the time people try to like gatekeep.
Oh, thank God that
secrets.
People don't see it as me profiting off of this thing, which I sell. I love that they see it as philanthropy. Yes. Well, okay. So wait, what was your question?
Oh, well, no. So, I mean, I was going to let you go into it, but also like a lot of times like cartoonists will like gatekeep their little tricks and secrets where I feel like you're very transparent about it. So that said, sorry, my dog's going crazy. So
I hope you guys can't hear my baby going too crazy.
You're good.
My beloved life partner is taking care of him right now in the other room.
Yeah, no. So I guess my question was a lot of people kind of keep their tricks of the trade close to the vest, right? You are the complete opposite of that. So I guess you can go into your process, why you decided to take that information and make it available. Okay. I didn't really see it as like for profit. I kind of looked at it as you like breaking even on your venture. But yeah, so.
Well, as we discussed, none of it is for big profit.
Right.
My thought in making it is that, what the Riso Color Sciences, I'll call it the multi-pack. What the multi-pack is for is I was doing more and more risograph printing with RetroJam in those early years working with Retro. And the way risograph printing works, in case people didn't know, is that every color you use is more expensive. You're basically doing a second pass through the machine. And so it's like so basic brain stuff is like I would do like a 3-color print and I'd be like, damn, I just spent this for that. And then it was like, I could do like 5 colors. And then I was just like, well, I wanted to know, like, could I get like a color spectrum out of this? Like, could I do like red, yellow, blue and like get a really good color? I didn't know if I could or not. So what I was doing is, also when you work with risograph is designed to work well doing a lot of prints. You can't just make one copy. You have to make, you kind of have to make at least 10, I would say. Like for the machine to like kind of warm up and get in space. You're not going to get good prints for the first like 2 or 3 or 4. Generally, as a rule, when I was doing my own printing, is I would do 10 to get to like what it's going to look like for the run. So the point is like I can't just like do a test print. I have to print like, well, at least 10. If I'm going to do 10, I might as well do 50 or something.
Right.
There's almost no point. So the point is to do my color experiments. It was kind of expensive. So I was doing these colorful marker, like weird marker swatch prints, like, or I was just kind of doing this like CMYK. I was scanning the markers, editing them digitally, and then like shooting them through the orangey red, the light blue, and the yellow on the risograph, and kind of just doing that more free form. But what I would do is on the side of the prints, like I would do a print that was like imagine like an 8.5 by 11. I would do a square, right, and I would make a square print. But then on the part that gets cut off, I would do these like palettes, like roughly, where I would try to do I would try to like see like what would happen if I do like 10%, 20%, 30%, 40% blue and like mix them, whatever. And I kept doing that, and I got to, I was kind of getting better results each time. And what I decided to do is like, well, you know what I'll just do? Like, and by the way, I'm doing this for my benefit. I'm doing this so that I can use those to figure out like, does it look good if I use 10% blue and 30% red? Like, am I getting a good purple, or is it just muddy? That's what I worry about. Is it just going to be like muddy? Is it gonna overlap each other and just become like brown? Or am I going to get like a vibrant purple? Like, what's going to happen? And I was like, well, you know what I'll just do? I was kind of doing it. I did it a bunch of times, and I kind of figured out where my best version was going to land. So I said, you know what? I'll just like print them on good paper. I'll print like 150. So I'll take the hit. I'll pay for 150 of these things on good paper. I'll do it like a nice design, and I'll make like 5. And then I'll make a little booklet that explains what I'm doing here to other people so that, other people can read this. I get what I want, which is I want to have these color charts for my use. I want to know what's the difference between using like a really light blue and a dark blue. I get to see that. And then if people will, if they want to pay me a little bit of money, they can get that. And I like design the cards so they kind of look nice together and they kind of make sense. The multi-pack explains how it all works. I think I explain it very well. I've been told that it is the most technical and difficult color swatch Riso book thing that people have seen.
Yeah.
So I actually, to be honest, that's on the list of projects to do. I want to make like a more beginner version. I think of it as like an intermediate to advanced level guide for risograph color printing. But the point is I made a booklet that explains my process, why I'm doing it, why I think it works well. What I tell people is that, with some humility and some pride, is that I think the way I do color mixing on the risograph works. I think it's really good. I kind of say it's the best way to do it. I like working this way. I use screen tone dots. I don't use grayscales. I use color channels when I mix the colors. Like, I have this process. I explain to people how it works, and I tell people, like, I'm not giving you this swatch palette so that you have a cool looking swatch palette. And also, like, if you on your risograph printer, like, you might. By the way, I was using a printer in Japan, so the inks aren't even labeled the same way. Like, I feel like what I use is called my printer calls water blue, but everyone here calls cornflower blue. So I wasn't even sure if the names were the same. So the point is, like, you can't just take this and be like, this is how it works. Like, you can do this yourself, and then you can explain how and why I think it works well. And I tell people, like, by all means, like, take this and do a better version of it. But I think this is a good approach. And the approach is like to break down the variables, do a test, see how it works, repeat, and do it kind of systematically. And I honestly think that it is a really good process, and I'm glad that people can use it. And I have this, in terms of the philanthropical way of looking at it, is I have so little to gain by gatekeeping the process. Like, what would that even earn me? But I am aware, I hope that I can potentially earn some goodwill by sharing it. And, like, why not? Like, why not be the person who helps other people get to a better place with this? And then they can say, like, I make way better prints than anyone. Not that it's a competition, but people can do it their own way and do it better. But at least they can remember that I helped them along the way. Like, that's so much better than having a mysterious process that I will, like, lord over other people, or I won't tell, or make it like a secret people have to crack. Like, that's not the vibe I'm trying to do here. I'm very pleased if it helps people. And I'm glad that me doing it, I hope that when I print them, that it pays for the printing when I sell. Like, that's the whole idea with all that stuff.
Hell yeah. Sick.
But yeah, so with coloring, like, like I was going to say, even with digital coloring, like, but by the way, like, when I was a teenager and I was looking at comics, like, that was like, I don't know, early days is definitely wrong, but like, I felt like when I was in like 10th grade looking at comics, like Spider-Man, and I was looking at like the digital gradients, I was like, oh man, how can I do gradients, and that's like I don't even look at like most like big, I don't look at any big two comics like almost at all, but I have this image of like what I think professional comics coloring looks like. And I was just going to say, like, I do not do that at all. And if anything, like when my work is seen digitally, it doesn't even look like the print, which is like what I'm really excited about. I feel like I would be a better artist if I tried to optimize my stuff to look better digitally, because obviously that's how we're all interacting with each other. Obviously, that's how people see my work mostly when I share it. But I just am like obstinate, and I'm like, no, I'm making, like, basically the purpose of this is to be printed. So that's like the real version, and my digital versions are like an off version of that. And I'm kind of like obstinately unable to optimize the digital viewing experience. I'm really thinking of it as like how to optimize the analog end product. But I think that there's a power in doing that. I think there's a power in like not trying to, it still works functionally, and that power is very small and very limited in its use. But I do like whatever effect that does to my work, that like you can know when you look at this digital coloring that it's not how it's supposed to look, but there's something maybe cool about that, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Hell yeah. No, I mean, from, a fan of your work, I think that you accomplished that. I think that even your digital coloring versus, some of the analog coloring you were doing with Copic markers and so forth, on some of the older stuff.
I did do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, you can always tell it's like distinctly you. I think you do have your own like voice through your coloring selection.
Neat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Has working in animation affected how you think about color?
I don't think so. I don't know. Because I'm so obstinate. I wish it did, JB. I wish it did. But I'm always thinking about this like digital print hybrid thing I do. I will say, working in animation for color, I mean, it's cool to be involved in a medium, in an industry where there's lots of really great artists working in different ways. So I, like being interested in, by the way, I think same as you guys, like I'm crabby about bad work that I don't even want to look at, but I love seeing the good. I love seeing the good work, like I like, if I wasn't interested in animation, would I be checking out this K-pop Demon Hunter movie on Netflix?
I have seen it twice today because my nieces are here.
Because your nieces are there. Yeah, I thought it was really good. I was really into it.
And here's what's crazy. Longbox's Nate McDonough just made a story about this, saying that since he's a stepfather to a father that stepped up.
Thank you. I was about to correct you there. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. With Nate, he was talking about how good this was, but he put a little disclaimer saying, if you don't have a soft spot, just continue to watch your Criterion films. No. However, I will say the animation fucking rocked. There's a song about soda pop that's been stuck in my head all day, so I'd say it's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying is like it's really great it's great to not be so myopic as I am like built to be. Like I tend to be really myopic and like burrow down into like the things I really like and not look widely enough. That's a bad tendency I have. And so I like that about being in animation, that I see cool stuff. Like the K-pop Demon Hunter I thought was really good. The color was really good. The songs were really good. But because I just don't work, like the whole process is digital in animation, and I just don't do digital like comics. I just don't. Like if anything, if I like color, I'm going to be more into seeing like it's so boring to say, but Daniel Klaus's book Monica, which is the same freaking color palette he's had for like 20 years. I love it. Or, looking at some reprint of like EC Comics, like I love that. Or the Carl Barks reprints, like that gets me into, but mostly in animation, no, color is not the thing. What about you, JB? Is there anything in animation that you can think of that, I can't even imagine what that would be in terms of color.
Well, did they teach you?
I mean, I just know that in animation, especially in bigger studios, they make a very concerted effort about color palettes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Obviously, that depends on the director, right? Like who's calling the shots, but like usually.
No, you're right. That's a good thing to say. No, I will say yes. I actually do. Okay, I guess like maybe my problem is when I heard you say that, I was imagining directing that information towards other animation projects. But no, I do really love that. I love how like they do make a concerted effort. I have learned that and seen that. I love actually. So the really cool job is it's called a color designer. They used to call it a color stylist. Mm-hmm. A color designer it happens to be, little trivia. It used to be like the woman's job in the animation pipeline.
Then yeah.
It was like the job that like only women could get. And obviously
they paint colors well. Let's let
yeah. And then obviously not a coincidence. It's like the one job in the whole design crew that pays remarkably less.
Right.
Yeah, obviously, right. But so that's interesting about the color job, but it's such an interesting job. It's so cool, the color designer, because it has a huge impact on the show and what at the show or the I work in TV mostly on the project. Like the color designer, yes, they like set these palettes that like work across skin tone, and then you have like they'll often have to make like a day palette and a night palette, or they're very systematic about that. If there's like an explosion, you have to like set a palette for the explosion on every color.
Yeah.
The color designer is the person, like generally like they're the ones who are like doing the color when you have these like character lineups. So they're sort of like making decisions about the character's skin tone, like the warmth of different colors. They're determining how the characters are all dressed, like what colors that like, well, not the rooms are painted. That's going to be a different job typically with the rooms and the environments. But like, yeah, that job is really cool. You really get to see color palettes and a systematic approach to it. It's really cool. And yeah, the project I'm working on right now, I'm actually doing a character for my next thing. I have like a character lineup, and I will be approaching it like as a color designer, trying to do that stuff. But that's in a way, like me even saying that, like I feel like feel kind of crossways about it, because it's a good way to work for me, but I feel like I'm just like building a pitch deck. If I'm spending time like coloring, like building a palette and building character lineups with their color palettes, like I feel like I'm building more of a pitch deck, and I'm not just coloring the book. And like ultimately, like, by the way, coloring is the thing that like takes the longest. Well, that can't be true. It takes the longest too, but coloring can take a long time.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm sort of just like kind of waffling around when I'm doing that stuff. So I do love when it's done. It makes sense for an animated project with collaboration, but for like a personal comic book, I feel like I'm building a pitch, but like realistically, of course it affects my process, but I'm so much more limited in the print that I'm still not really applying that to the comics. But I do think it's a really good way to work. I think color design is done really well in animation, and I admire that, and I learn from the process. But it's hard to apply that to comic making,
especially with Riso, since you're limited in your palette.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still going to try, to be honest. I'm still going to, that's a great point. And I'm still going to try to do, so I told you, I have this like character lineup. I've been thinking like, oh, I'm going to do these like, color them all or whatever. And actually I even have in my sketchbook right next to me, I will like cut out the like swatches that I've like Riso tested. And I'm like, these are going to be the swatches that I'm going to use, and kind of help figure out the palette. Oh, a cartoonist who did a really good job of that was Ben Jones of Paper Rad.
Yeah, Paper Rad. Yeah.
I don't know what he's working on right now, but Ben Jones, in case you didn't know, Ben Jones was like my most admired cartoonist when I was like 21, and I still admire him a lot. I was really influenced by Paper Rad, and in case you didn't know, his like part of it, I mean, his story is like he was like a total. How can I say this without being too insulting? I mean, like he was like, he was making like zines and like doing like nothing jobs and like living in a warehouse and just printing comics, making and by the way, Paper Rad also had like video. They did like video installations, and then they did physical installations.
I feel like really ahead of their time. Like they would have been able to utilize the internet to their advantage in a major way.
They did. Paperrad.org was an amazing website, and I think I sound old when I say this, but like you can look at paperrad.org now, and like it was so like ahead of its time. Like no one had seen anything. They were doing like all these insane rainbow rotating GIFs and stuff, and then they made videos, like full animated videos that were so funny and so good. Blah blah blah. And then so Ben Jones, he became like a sculptor, and he was like in like galleries and stuff, and then he somehow became head of Fox's adult animation studio. So he was like a studio head. And he's still doing that. He's still like heading animation for some studio now. I don't know what he's working on now, but my admired cartoonist and studio executive, Ben, he made like really cool color palettes for this show, Stone Quackers, that I was on. And I always thought it was really cool how he had this like dead simple, I say it might've been John Pham too.
Oh,
John Pham was
another big risograph comic. Another big person. Yeah,
he makes risographs. And he's an animator, and I think I don't know why I think that is I think it was Ben's show, but John was like art directing, and they made this like dead simple color palette that was so good that I loved. So like and you can like apply that. So I've like taken that kind of approach, and I mean, it was something like 20 colors because a paper rad looks like these like early computer graphics. So it's like using an early computer graphics palette, like like a light yellow, like an ugly dark yellow, and yellow, like do that for every color. But it was like carefully figured out. I really like that. So that's the degree to which like I like using this stuff from animation. But again, like animation projects are so much bigger than comics projects. You have so many more people working on it and stuff. So it makes more sense for that. But for my personal stuff, I don't do it as much, but I shall do it. I shall use color palettes.
I do feel like that was a natural segue because you kind of mentioned what you were working on next. And I feel like we can kind of hit that.
Yeah, sure.
After that, like line of questioning. But before we go there, is there anything that you all want to circle back on? Or is there anything you want to lob up?
I'll say, I wanted to ask you, why do you guys pay attention to the big two? I was listening to the most recent Patreon exclusive because I'm a Patreon member of Gutter Boys. Hell yeah. And I was like, why do they even read this stuff? Like, why do you know these things? Like, by the way, if I sound like I'm asking it with a derisive tone, but I really want to know. Like,
if you were, yeah.
Yeah. But I guess I also want to express that, like, I just like, I can't, like, I don't know how to get into it and enjoy it. Like the new Martian Manhunter thing I heard was good.
Yeah, that guy is really good. Javier Rodriguez. You might like some of his stuff.
I believe it. I believe that there are diamonds in the rough.
Totally. Like there's Javier Pulido's a good one.
But I cannot imagine raking through that rough to find them.
And if you're not interested in the characters, I mean, they just let good artists and sometimes good writers play in those playgrounds. I feel like I'm mainly the one into that stuff. I know JB stays like aware of it through me.
Oh.
But to be honest, like it's nothing more. I have two answers for you, and it's not deep at all. One is brain out of the box entertainment. You know, like when you go see a Michael Bay movie, sometimes you just want to scratch a familiar itch and not have to like. When I read Big Two comics, I don't think about the politics involved in small press and like, oh, this guy doesn't like me and he hangs out with this guy. You know, like I hate to say that, but like I don't have to think about that stuff. You know, like it's so stupid, right? It's so fucking stupid.
That you have to think about it.
And I shouldn't even let it like, you know, but also another reason why is because like it's what brought me to the dance. So I like to stay aware of it. You know, it's what I got into first.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, but no, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it has like redeeming value. Like, I mean, my favorite superhero book of the year is Absolute Batman, which is there's nothing spectacular about it outside of the fact that Batman is just 10 times bigger than he normally is. And it's so stupid that it works for me, but I'm totally like aware that it is just mindless entertainment. So I can't justify like merit in it. There's always like good art, you know, people can look at it and be like, oh, this is, you know, good rendering. This is good art. But as far as like reading it and resonating with it, I can't tell you the last time I walked away from like reading a Big Two comic and like thought about it from a writing aspect. You know, like I look at the art more first and that stuff. And yeah, so there's your answer from me.
That's cool. Honestly, that answer helps. It helps me to hear that. That you're not giving me like a secret, meaningful, beautiful thing. I get that.
Totally. It's just I love the medium and, you know, slop included.
That's cool. I used to think that I loved slop included, but I just like ran out of time and patience.
Yeah, and those companies love to like stretch things out, mainly because they want you to spend more money on the books, and you know, so it's definitely not like a time and patience thing. So yeah, no, I don't blame anybody for, you know, not liking that stuff. And also, I think a big part of it for me also is the ritual of going to a comic shop Wednesday. I feel bad going to a comic shop and not walking out with something, and I go every week. So yeah, so you know, I have to walk out with something. And
what's your shop?
There's a few in Louisville. I'll plug Great Escape and Comic Book World. Those are the two that are like cool.
Do they sell butter?
No, but that's on me. Great Escape will. I would not put butter in Comic Book World. That's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But Great Escape's like the cool alt bookstore here in town. So I'll shout them out.
Yeah, you should get them to sell butter.
Yeah, I just, you know, full disclosure, it's just like I make more money off of selling them through the mail, you know. Dude, so it's
totally okay. Wait, so that's, let me just share with you my list of topics which are about that. I'm not trying to. Maybe I'm trying to milk you guys for a second appearance on your coveted Patreon. I feel like this is more of your Patreon exclusive episode.
You can come back anytime, and we even send the link to our guests so they can upload it to their Patreons or whatever they have as well. So.
Well, I don't have one. I would just want to talk about this, but I just feel like this is really in the weeds. But I feel like you would like to talk about this. And I've already been so like nerdy and detailed on this chat, but I don't know. So this is what I want to ask you about: mailing comics, printing comics, how much it costs, how much it pays, how long it takes, how good or bad I want to know how good or bad you are at invoicing and business. About marketing. Man, marketing is like so hard. How do you go at that for butter? Like, how in the world do you go at like marketing your stuff? I feel like I don't know if I'm good or bad at it. I want to ask about we've covered it. You have to have a day job, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right. So that's all right. The importance of cartoonist friends. Is it important to have friends who are cartoonists? I don't know. I think it is.
I think it's important in the sense of like camaraderie.
I think it's actually really nice to have friends who are not cartoonists.
Oh yeah.
But it's nice to have them as well. But I want to ask how you invoice. Do you keep records of all your invoices, or do you just throw them away never to see them again?
So I feel like JB's more of a guy to ask that question, because like anytime I put a book out, I'm very bad at keeping things in print. So it's always just like, I know I have X amount of copies. It's just done when it's done. But I kind of feel like JB has more experience on the business end, like invoicing and so forth. So I'm a bad person to ask about that.
JB, have you made a company for your comics, or are you paying taxes? Wait, I don't want to ask you something that's illegal, but
I am paying taxes. Yes.
We're all paying taxes. Yes.
It sucks.
We unfortunately are giving our money to Israel. So yes, that's correct.
In fact, I will say on the Patreon, I was talking about possibly dodging taxes. So if you would like to hear about that, you can
if you want some hot
Patreon.
tips and tricks.
I feel like the government is now using AI to go into all podcasts and hear us talk about this, but I'm a little bit afraid to talk about this. If someone isn't paying you money to hear the episode, I don't want to talk about my answer.
Okay, fair enough. That's an answer in itself, I feel like, but let's keep it rolling.
Yeah. I mean, I have questions. I just don't understand how in the world, like, people keep telling me that, like, oh yeah, if you make a business, you get to claim all these deductions and then it's better for you. And I'm like, no way.
It really depends.
No way.
It depends on how much freelance work you're doing and the amount of income that you're bringing in based on that work. If it's a certain threshold, then yeah, you should probably get an LLC in place. Take full advantage as much as you can, because otherwise the federal government is just going to rake you over the coals.
Yeah, I just feel like if I start a business, they're just going to be like, okay, now I pay 25% of all my book, or whatever, 10% of all my book sales, and then I have to pay income tax on it, and that just sounds awful.
So look, I mean
it's easier. It's easier if you have like a full-time job in place already.
That's what I was about to say. Is the easiest accounting I've ever done was when I wasn't freelance, and it's when I had a day job that earned a quote unquote respectable amount of money, and it would always just end up like I paid in so much through the day job that it usually doesn't matter. And I think most independent cartoonists are going to be in that kind of situation unless they're full freelancers, where any taxes you would have owed on the small amount of sales you made are going to be paid off by the taxes you've already paid in. And I would do it legit back then. I'm not saying I'm not doing it legit now to the FBI or whoever the fuck's watching, but but back then it always just worked out where it's like, oh, I paid enough in taxes through my day job that this didn't even affect it one way or the other.
Okay. Maybe I'll take the plunge and finally do whatever I'm not admitting I don't do.
Well, but to be honest, like, it's an adult thing to do. I have a cousin that's an accountant, so I'm lucky there. But it really does help out a lot having an accountant do your stuff. But I know that's a luxury that a lot of people don't have.
I think it's got to be worth it.
But it is like, I still pay. It's just I get a nice discount. So I would suggest, if you have the means and resources, and if you have enough to where you even have a need for an accountant, I think it's definitely worth investing in around tax time.
Thank you. Well, we can, maybe that's like too awful to discuss at greater length, but I wanted to ask, hey, what we can talk about this right now if it's cool with you guys. Who are good people to send review or promo copies to? Something that I've noticed in by the way, I haven't plugged my new comic this whole freaking time.
We'll let you do it at the end. Don't you
appreciate
worry.
you, whatever. It's, what kind of a little bit yes and that, but I'm here and I'm glad to talk to you guys. But when I was like, I was doing like this pre-order fundraiser where I was like really trying to like get out the word and tell people like, hey, I'm making this comic. If you pre-order it, it really helps me because basically I can pay the printer in advance. The alternative is I don't get pre-orders. I pay for it myself and I'm just out all that money for the month and I feel like shit and I'm really worried and anxious. And it makes basically if I pay for too much, it makes it scarier for me to order a reasonable amount of copies. Okay, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting into all that stuff. But the point is, who do you send? I'm so bad at like knowing who do you send promo stuff to? Are there good reviewers that are like reliable for indie stuff? Or is there do you send it? I follow this guy, RJ. Is it RJ?
RJ Casey. Yeah, he's been on the show. So you can send your stuff to RJ if you want to get torched.
That's what I was going to say. To be honest, I don't read TCJ, but like I follow him on social media and he's just constantly posting about how everyone is mad at him for torching books. I'm like, I don't think I should send him my stuff.
Yeah, he ordered butter and I told him and I was like, half serious, half joking. I said, you don't have to review this, And I think out of respect, he hasn't. But no, so RJ is good if you have tough skin. Now, I think RJ is just a man of taste that he is very vocal about. So if you don't tick the boxes, which to me kind of, if it doesn't have like crazy cat lineage, I don't think that RJ is going to be much into it. And that's not a diss. That's just what he's into.
No, of course it's not. That's awesome. That's great.
Now, Brian Bubbles is good. Now, here's the thing. He's not going to give you a super thoughtful review all the time. That's not a diss. He just gets fucking 500 comics to review at a time. So
that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He gets that.
Yeah, Brian in Bubbles, there's like always hundreds of reviews. So you don't get anything long, but it's always thoughtful and critical. Yeah, there's always tons of reviews in there. So definitely send stuff his way. The thing that kind of sucks, like I hate to say this, but it's like, I guess this is how it was back in the day, but there's like the comics blogger zine. Thomas is pretty cool over there, but that's all like through print.
I'm aware of the comics blogger.
Yeah, he puts out a zine once every month or two, and it's reviews as well, but it's all like physical print. But those are like the two I would say go to. Now, as far as like a review that actually like means anything, I hate to say it, but you'd have to go into that big two water because those are like the sites that get the most traffic, like Comics Beat, Bleeding Cool, IGN, all those kind of sites. Those are kind of
So I'm never going to do that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You can go to RJ and get torched, or Bubbles or Comics Blogger.
I guess like I wonder. I'm even like afraid to look at RJ's column. Like again, like I don't really read TCJ much, and all I read is him saying that he torches people, and I'm like, so what? Why? I don't want to read this. I don't want to read him review some bad comics. Or
I think I kind of look at it like he does like things. I think people don't give him credit for the things that he says he likes, and that's not just me saying that because I'm I think RJ and I are on friendly terms. Like I said, I told him not to review my book in one way or another. But I think that who was the guy from like the New York Village, Chris Gow, that like famous music critic that was just an asshole to everybody. I kind of feel like Pitchfork kind of took the helm as like a publication, but I feel like it's kind of like in that vein. Some people like to read reviews like that, but I can take them or leave them personally.
Well, you know what? Honestly, I'm not afraid. I will mail my stuff to RJ. I'm not really afraid. If he can think whatever he thinks, and I appreciate the publicity. That's what I go at it with. But I was just expressing I am sort of afraid of him. But
yeah,
I'm not. I'm sincerely not. It's totally fine. Just kind of. It's just. I guess I'm just saying it's so funny that like when he talks about his column on his personal social media, like half of it is like, oh yeah, people hate me. People hate me. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, people are so mad about this.
I think there's a lot to say with that because our scene is so small and the sales numbers are so small that every good review helps. Whereas a bad review on one of the most quote unquote prestigious, periodicals that we have, the Comics Journal, take that for whatever you feel about it now. But at one point in time, it was really, So I think if you get killed by him in that, I mean, it's kind of like, Rolling Stone saying your album sucked to us, right?
I guess, but sincerely, like I have some personal ego. Like I have some ego, but mostly, I mean, what am I going to do?
Right? Yeah.
If they say that, I can do better or whatever. You know what I mean? I'll still go for it. That's interesting though. Okay, so RJ Casey's the man. Bubble Zine publishes a billion things. That's good to know. Comics blogger. That's cool. There's also this website called Optical Sloth. Do you know that website?
Yeah, I have heard of them. And
I've been sending them comics for like 15 years. But the thing is, when they review my books, which they have done, all they do is like write a plot summary.
That's what the IGN and the Beat and like the Bleeding Cool reviews are like. It's not a review. It's really like those are the ones with the most eyes, but it's like, oh, we're going to just pretty much criticize the plot of this.
Yeah, I probably will send something to Optical Sloth because I've been sending that person my stuff forever. But
oh, there's another blog, Four Color Apocalypse. There's a guy over there named Ryan who does stuff.
Yeah. Ryan C. And he's on Patreon now, I think.
I think some of it's free, and I think like longer musings are on Patreon. I don't subscribe, but I don't think he's like putting it all behind a paywall. But I think this conversation just made me realize like how much we probably need more reviewers, but who wants to put in that work? Because we had to really rack our brains to come up with like 4 or 5, which sucks.
Yeah. That's cool. I mean, you're right. It just speaks to the all right. So yeah. What I want to say is like, so are you guys, what social media platforms are you guys on? Because I feel like when I was doing promo, like for this new zine I made, like I'm an Instagram person. I have a Blue Sky account, which I have like 6 followers on, which is like, and I have do I have to develop that? Obviously not on TikTok. Are you guys on Twitter? You guys seem like you guys have the fighting personalities that could handle Twitter.
Yeah.
But you don't seem like you're like selling me Bitcoin. So you're probably not active on X are you guys on there?
I'm active on X because I was there first and I refused to leave, but don't go there.
Yeah.
Don't go there to promote anything.
It seems awful.
Yeah.
Is there actual discourse that you experience on X?
Yes, but everybody's like the people in our scene are all on Blue Sky now for the most part. Now. Okay. I will say this, and this is like awful, but as far as when it like comes to, hang on, how do I articulate this here? So, and to be honest, I think that the algorithm is so cooked. If you want a complete honest answer, when it came to promoting butter or when it comes to promoting anything at all that I'm releasing, post like 2022, this really sucks, but I don't go to just anybody because I think there is something really fucking lame about like copy and pasting a DM asking for help to spread, like share stories and everything. But I will go to my friends who I genuinely have relationships with and be like, hey, can you share this? And most of the time, you know, they're already going to share it anyways.
That's good.
But like, for an example, like, you know, like my quote unquote clout friends, like, you know, my DC and Marvel guys like Ramon and Dan and Gleb and all those guys, they'll retweet my links, but I'll just be like, hey, I'll message them and ask for a favor. And that's cool. The only time I've ever seen traction on anything is when I go out and actually ask for it. When it comes to like just trying to promote myself, it never really worked for me unless I asked for a helping hand. But I've also never looked into buying advertisement because I refuse to do that. So that might help. But
that's cool. No,
usually,
thank you. That's really cool to hear. That's interesting. That seems
so you beg for story reposts and retweets.
That makes sense. and the way you said it is right. You're not like sending a mailing list to every single person that you've ever talked to, but that makes sense. Because so I want to say that when I did this fundraiser, I got almost half of the personal individual orders I got in the first 2 days. So like people who follow me, like who would buy the zine, generally saw me announce sales and bought it. And it really tapered off after that. And I felt like I don't have any like reach, you know, like I'm not on TikTok. I'm not really on Blue Sky. Do I have to start like I do not have the energy. I can't be someone who like, okay, now I'm going to develop a whole following I'm going to get into the discourse. I'm going to get involved in Blue Sky. Like I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I barely post over there where I used to always be on Twitter. That's just kind of what I do. JB might have some more insight into his process when he like self-publishes things.
What do you have, JB? How do you promote a zine launch or a comic launch?
I mean, a lot of it is just luck in terms of like when you put it out there.
That is the thing. It's like you just have to catch the wave and hope for the best.
Okay, go on.
Regardless of the platform. But like, let's say Instagram. Obviously, the Instagram's algorithm has changed drastically over the last 10 years. So it was a lot easier to get eyeballs on your posts.
Yeah.
And then it would organically grow.
Yeah.
And reach maybe people outside of your following. Yeah. Now, not so much. So you're kind of dependent on other people engaging with those posts and then sharing it on the website or on the app. And then hopefully that catches on some sort of algorithm wave where more and more people are seeing it and interacting with it.
Yeah.
But beyond that, kind of echoing what Cam had talked about, it does help that if you know people who have a large audience who do engage with you and know you and are more than willing to spread the word about your work, then that can also obviously help. So, if you have somebody like a friend who is either directly in comics or tangentially involved in comics, you can send them a copy and be like, hey, tell me what you think. And if you like it, share it, whatever, no pressure one way or the other. And usually people will be more than willing to just share it and like get it to other people outside of your following group. And, from there it can catch on. Now, none of this is set in stone in terms of like being a surefire, 100% confirmable way to gain traction on social media, because there isn't really.
No.
But
yeah, we're not saying that.
No, this is mostly for the listener.
Well, and I will say this, like, and do you all I have like a conspiracy theory to where if you put like certain words like for sale or pre-order in a story and you don't pay for promotion, I feel like they bury it. Like, I feel like you're already starting at a disadvantage.
I don't believe that. I believe that is not true. I've heard people say that. I do not think that's true. I think the reality is that when your audience sees you begging for them to give you money, that people aren't as into it. That's what I think is going on with that. That's my guess. And I think a lot of times the evidence for that is like that's not. People will use that kind of idea for like when someone announces the birth of their child, they get a lot of comments. So I've thought about telling people like comment congratulations or something or happy birthday to get but I think the reality is it's just that people are happy for you. That's what's going on. People are happy for you and they're saying, and so when you're asking people for money, or what is it? People always like block out the word Patreon or whatever
I'm guilty of it,
when they post. I think that's fake as hell. I think the reality is you're begging people for money. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with this. I think you do have to just present it in a way where it's like, look at this thing that I've worked on.
Yes.
Do you engage with it? Are you interested in this? And if you are going to interact with it and share it.
And I think a lot of people are. The first time I posted about Shorts Folio #1, I did get more interaction. The 30th time, they were not as interested in engaging. It just didn't really scratch their pleasure brain to hit like and comment after the 30th time of me promoting it.
Right. Yeah, I just went through that where I had to do that shit every day with butter. It was awful.
So I was doing, okay, it's so nice of you to say. I'm actually like kind of nervous to say that I hit my fundraiser goal. And I kind of want to say, but I'm nervous to say, like, I hated that.
It sucks. I'll probably have to do it a second time.
I don't like that. But I actually, the reason why I wanted to talk to you guys about this is because, like, I don't think it has to suck. I think that if I'd done it better, like, because I basically feel like a lot of it is like diminishing returns. I feel like it's me like sending out a message. And by the way, I'm not literally, and you're not literally begging for money. We're telling people about this cool thing that we made, and we want to, quote, spread the word, unquote. And we want to like keep at it because we're aware of these algorithms or the attention economy. It's more about attention more than algorithms. We're aware that we have to catch the fleeting attention as well as the algorithms. But I think that there's like diminishing returns the more you get at it. So it's like, I feel like there must be a smarter way to do this than for me to like every single day I'm going to post something new about my zine. It's just like,
I mean, I think the way you have to think about it, unfortunately, is that because we are so captured by tech companies now, where all of these social media platforms are basically just advertising farming, right? Like they want the users to use their platform, stay on their platform, remain engaged on their platform, so that they have a larger audience to sell to.
You're right. Yeah.
Right. Because that's how they make their money. They make their money off of advertising. So you have to think about how you promote your work in the context of content, because all of this is just content, unfortunately.
Right.
And if you're not engaging with your audience in a way that makes them want to be engaged or feel interested in being engaged, they're not going to. And so if you're repeatedly asking your audience for money, then they're not going to be engaged because that's not interesting content.
Okay, so I think a really good example of this is this artist, Rebecca Kirby. Do you know her? Her Instagram is Reweki.
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
She makes t-shirts that are like a girl with really big muscles and really big volleyball boobs and like a metal sword. And she makes t-shirts. And I think she said that she's been like a full-time cartoonist for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, speaking about her, Rebecca, if you hear this, if anyone who knows Rebecca hears this, Rebecca's huge fan, and I don't know everything about how she works, and I'm talking alongside her here, is I think she does such a good job of like, but I think I don't really know how it all works for her, but like when she advertises something, she's advertising it with a comic that's like these characters who are like girls with huge Arnold Schwarzenegger muscles and volleyball boobs and giant swords. And that's very engaging. That's a very engaging way to sell t-shirts.
Yeah, but you got like a whole like pervert market. Like if you want to be successable, just go into the pervert market. Like this, we wouldn't even have a show if we were in the pervert market because we'd be rolling in money.
Right. That is true. Okay, wait. I want to say that I don't think Rebecca's audience, I don't think of them as perverts, although
Oh, I'm looking at this, and Rebecca is very talented, but there are some I'm not saying that Rebecca's entire audience is perverts, but there are definitely perverts buying this.
I love the people who look at it as like somewhat ironic, somewhat sincere gender expression, and also like cool 80s retro. Anyway,
no, I personally think it rocks. That wasn't my assessment of it.
I know. I hear you.
There's always going to be a gooner contingent you have to think about.
Yeah,
you're right. So, I think Rebecca probably she did an Instagram story AMA the other day, and she got some pervert questions. Yeah, so you're right.
Well, check this out.
She's got perverts to milk.
My buddy Gleb, who draws for DC and Marvel, he has a pervert Patreon where he draws like lewd cheesecake drawings. And it outperforms his regular Patreon like 10-1.
I hate Earth.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So just to, so I'm just telling you, like there is a pervert market. If you ever find yourself in need, just do some pervert commissions and you'll be okay.
I think people can tell that I'm like that I was raised by Southern Baptists and that I never learned how to become in touch with myself expressive in that regard. I've never.
I got a more of a Methodist vibe from you than
I was a Southern Baptist, and I wanted to be a preacher, and I was like hardcore religious until I was like 16.
Okay.
And then I basically, my brain, got big enough that I was like, this is really stupid. But like, this is obviously really stupid. Jesus Christ. And, but I never had the heart to go like full rebellious. I liked my parents. I didn't want to hurt their feelings too hard. So
Sure.
I'm never like I'm 100% atheist now, but
you had a good childhood, so it's like.
But the point is, I can't. It's hard to imagine doing a lewd Patreon.
Yeah,
I think the viewers would like suss me out as like a square or something.
Have you considered autobio with your battling of religion as a teen and pitching to Pantheon?
Dude. Cam and JB, your minds are so good. Your minds are so good. You're right. That's another angle I could go at.
It might be some like prestigious book market money there, to be honest. So
I'm afraid if I talk about this too much, that I'll make enemies. But yeah, I could become one of them. That could be really cool. There's good money in that. There's good money in the teen market. I was telling someone about that, and they were like, "Yeah, apparently there's a lot of money in just making like preteen books."
I think that's where all the money is. The money that we were mourning over.
Have you had Raina Telgemeier on your show yet? You guys should have Raina Telgemeier on your show.
Yeah, let me just call Raina Telgemeier up and ask her to come on Gutter Boys. No, I just mean the reason why I said that is I don't think Raina's even aware of us, to be honest.
I agree. I'm kidding. I don't. Think
I was. Hey, we've talked to.
Raina's like she's like the J.K. Rowling of comics. I
didn't know all this.
Kidding.
Yeah.
No. She's not transphobic. I was just teasing her for her success.
Hey, after Emil Ferris, I'll believe anything. Okay. So
I mean, I genuinely to like maybe put a bow on this point. I think it's very difficult once you start getting bogged down with the specifics. Like once you go into like. Where you're thinking about like, oh, how can I sell this? What's going to get me the most juice out of this? Yada, yada, yada.
Okay, and that's me when I finish the book and I'm trying to fucking sell this shit.
And rightfully so, though, right? I mean,
right, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
rightfully so.
My main point is I don't think you can organically create traction with that.
Me too.
Using like hyper overthought
I agree.
Marketing.
I completely agree. I completely agree. Yes.
I think yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say I completely agree with you, but that's why I wanted to ask you guys about this, is because I didn't think you would tell me the 5 neat tricks that AI told you to juice your algorithm.
Yeah,
like,
let me ask Grok real quick.
Yeah,
I knew, but like I know you guys obviously aren't falling for that, but I do think there's something, and I think I like Cam's suggestion of like, well, it's not a suggestion, Cam's confession that he asks people to repost. That's cool.
Oh, and check this out too, just to kind of talk about what you were doing. Like, I did not ask for those favors until the last 72 hours of Butter. And it was driving Jazz mad because Jazz was like, we need this now. I'm like, no, just trust me. Like, we're going to fucking beat the shit out of our audience with this stuff that's already going to buy the stuff. And you want to go ahead and make it like look like you want to get it when it counts. So I cashed those favors in kind of towards the end.
That's I frame it as my weakness, my inability. I could not bring myself to ask people to pay for this until it is so close to being done. Like, the zine had to be done before I could ask for money. So I also wait really long. I mean,
well, that's good though, because then you're able to deliver something as opposed to, just a promise of something.
Yeah, I think that counts. I think that helps. I think that actually helps the pre-order process. I think people can tell that I am not I really try not to over promise.
Yeah.
People can tell.
One of the issues of Vacation that I did, I completely worked on it in silence, in the sense of I didn't post any preview images, anything like that. And most of the time you have to post so many. And I literally just waited until I had copies in hand, and I posted an Instagram thing. I said, for sale now. And that was my top selling comic ever. And I did it all like without any kind of like and I don't know if it's because it was there and they were like, oh shit, this is here. So
holy shit.
But it outsold my next selling comic 2-1. And I've never done that again. But that, I don't know if it was just a fluke.
Is the posting holding you back? Should you stop posting and just do this for every book?
I have no idea. I don't even want to begin to speculate on it, because I just kind of try to do what I know. So I really don't know. I don't post a lot just because I don't want to.
Yeah,
I hate keeping up with the rat race of it,
I don't think that I'm talking to two crazy online posters.
Yeah, no, right. Well, no, but I mean, when it comes to like posting like progress and stuff, like I hate doing that shit, because like it's such a slow thing. It's like, oh, this panel I posted 7 months ago is finally printed in this book.
I mean, I like doing it in the moment because I actually get some serotonin or some like feedback or some communication about this thing that like, I'm like drawing something and I'm like, this drawing looks so good. Like, I want to show people this like one drawing. It's like, but I probably shouldn't do that.
No, and I think there's a difference between story posting and grid posting.
Really? What?
I don't even want to get into that, but I think that this a story, like when people engage with the story because they're able to message you. And I think that if you post like that, like I always get more of a reception to like a work in progress via on a story versus a grid. You might get the like on the grid post, but people responding, because there's that built-in message box where they can say whatever you want to you, for better or worse. So I think there is a difference to that, but I mean, it might
me too. I think so too. It's interesting because I went through this hellish pre-order thing that had me frantic all week, and I was like trying to put stuff on. Basically, I was trying to put stuff on the grid. Even though the story is ephemeral and it goes away, I feel like the story is like stronger. That's so weird. And I feel like philosophically, like I don't want to give up the grid. I feel like I'm irresponsible to do it all on the story and not make good. I feel like an A student putting things on the grid.
Yeah, and I mean we've been putting things on the grid at the ground level. I feel like we're 3 people that were on Instagram pretty early, if not at the beginning. So
that's part of it.
Yeah, so it's part of the ritual, I think, too.
Part of the ritual, yeah. But I kind of feel like when they make memes about how things millennials do that are chuggy or whatever, is like posting on the grid or something. I mean, I'm not literally saying that, but I just feel like I'm doing this as like a relic of the past. But realistically, it felt like I was obsessed over putting things on the grid this last 2 weeks, but it didn't make a huge difference. And that, of course, you got to put something on the grid up there for reference, but the real engagement happens in the story, and that's just what people are on anyway. And like, right, when you look at Instagram, is most of your time on the story or the flip up and down? I think it's the story.
Yeah, for me, story first, and then I'll scroll if I still feel the need.
And all this sciencing is, as you started to say earlier, all this like science chat is to say, like, I still think fundamentally, like the most important thing for an artist to do is to like, make art from your heart.
Yeah, like we're getting in the weeds about everything that's not the art.
Exactly. And but I just feel okay talking about it with you because you guys know
yeah,
that.
no, but I just meant like in general, like it sucks that we can't just create and just have it exist and just,
Totally.
like all this shit that's just tied up in the background. So,
yeah.
All right. So, Ryan, where can people find you online? Where can they pre-order this new comic that's going to be coming out?
Oh, yeah. This new comic, which I'll say is called Shorts Folio #1. I'm on Instagram is my main thing. So it's at Ryan Cecil. And my website is screentone.tv. I sprung for a $40 a year TV domain like 10 years ago. And I just don't want to lose it. And you can see all my zines there. Shorts Folio #1. It's going to be sick. It's a 52-page, 8-color risograph book. About 2/3 of the pages are in full. I call it faux CMYK because it's not really CMYK, but like 4-color risograph printing pages. And then like the center story is done mostly in 1 color. So I do this like weird risograph color printing. It's like it's 3 big science fiction stories that are kind of in the same universe, and which is called SF, which stands for science fiction. It stands for a lot of different things, actually. It's a really, I think the zine is funny. I think the comics are good. So 2 of the stories I've published before is mini comics. One of them is brand new. It's going to be so good. I'm really proud of this work. I hope people will pre-order it at screentone.tv, or they can go to my Instagram. Right now, it's being printed in Japan at my print shop. They told me that it's going to be done on August 15th, which means they're probably going to mail it on August 17th. I'm printing 500 copies, which for me is a really big edition. That's a lot of copies for me. And but I've paid it off with this pre-order fundraiser, thank Christ. So they're going to mail it to me. It'll be in my hands in late August. Mail with this new tariff thing could be insane, but I don't know why I'm giving you such granular detail, but I should be mailing it to all the pre-order people by the end of August or the very beginning of September. It's happening. It's a premium zine. It has a premium price point. I think people should pay it.
and I will say, as someone who's been buying Ryan's work over the years, if it wasn't clear earlier in the interview, the best looking comics and zines in the game on the level of John Pham. If you have, just that kind of stuff, not to put you all in the same basket because of like Riso, but I think you two are the best doing it when it comes to like printing.
Thank you for saying that. John Pham gives me the guts to charge a little more for my comics. And I think
deserved price tag.
Yeah. I think they're $34 this new one, $34. I think it's a great experience. I think it's good. And John Pham,
and still $16 cheaper than anything at an art book fair.
That's what I'm saying. And that's right. Cheaper than an art book fair. You're paying for something that's going straight to the artist. None of that's going to Walmart or Amazon. I think self-publishing is pretty cool. So with this one, I am asking a lot for this one. But, by the way, we Cam and JB already know this, but this stuff gets priced so that we can break even, so that we can survive. And I like to make a premium thing. Sometimes it's fun. It'll be a good zine. That's my huge pitch for you guys on this podcast.
Hell yeah.
Follow me on Instagram at Ryan Cecil.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, we want to thank you so much for your time and coming on. It was an illuminating discussion, and I've wanted to have you on for a long time, and I'm a big fan of your work. So everybody go pre-order the new zine, and listeners,
Thanks.
as always, yeah, no problem. Listeners, as always, make sure you stay gutter.